My question is, what's next? Is he going to use this as a teachable moment? Is he going to sort of bridge the gap? We have an extraordinary situation here where one president has the ability here. The president has the ability to, through his relationships. I thought he might reach out to President Obama. I thought there might be some type of a thing there. He didn't. So we'll see what happens going forward here. But this is on the president as well. So we'll see how he uses this moment.
We'll see indeed. Held up in the halls of Capitol Hill, the Senate Majority Leader had hoped for a health care vote before the July 4th recess. Why that timing may be pretty tough. But first, politicians, they tend to say the darndest things, with Australia's Prime Minister doing the Donald.
The Donald and I, we are winning and winning in the polls. We are winning so much. We are winning like we have never won before. We are winning in the polls. We are. Not the fake polls. Not the fake polls. They're the ones we're not winning in. We're winning in the real polls.
It's okay that everybody ignores me when I drive. It's fine, because I get a safe driving bonus check every 6 months I'm accident free. Because I don't use my cell phone when I'm driving, even though my family does and leaves me all alone. Here's something else. I don't share it with Mom. I don't. Right, Mom? I have a brand new putter you don't even know about. It's awesome.
Safe driving bonus checks.
With him anymore. Too quick for me.
Blitzio, my son.
Mail sorted.
The Shetland Pony Express.
Want yours here farther in your tent when you're there?
Oh, here will be fine. It's traveled far enough. A short note from my sister in the convent.
Oh, a nonogram.
Captain Honeycutt, Captain Honeycutt, Captain Honeycutt.
Those are for me.
We're likely to see. And so what we've learned and what the administration has learned from prior investigations is you want to lawyer up. To a certain extent, that seems like a bad thing. Oh, you're getting a lawyer. That must mean you did something bad. Not necessarily, but you have to be prepared to handle any questions you get, any avenues that the investigation goes down in a way that keeps you out of trouble so you don't get in a perjury trap or whatever it happens to be. And so you need to have lawyers that are expert in this kind of investigation to help you out.
Let's talk about the scope of this investigation, if we may. On what scale does this investigation have the capacity to really distract from governing?
Wow. Oh, this smokes. These people in love with Donald J. Trump, okay? Yeah.
And infrastructure, health care, and tax cuts in works. Timothy Hagel is a political science professor at the University of Iowa, and he joins us now from Iowa City. So, Timothy, let's start with the investigation, if we may. President Trump now has, a team of 4 lawyers representing him. Even his lawyers have lawyers. What's going on here?
Well, that's not surprising. When we see one of these investigations start, they're usually not limited to whatever the original purpose was. And people said that's what's going to happen with this investigation, and that's what we're likely to see. And so what we've learned and what the administration has learned from prior investigations is you want to lawyer up. To a certain extent, that seems like a bad thing. Oh, you're getting a lawyer. That must mean you did something bad. Not necessarily, but you have to be prepared to handle any questions you get, any avenues that the investigation goes down in a way that keeps you out of trouble so you don't get in a perjury trap or whatever it happens to be. And so you need to have lawyers that are expert in this kind of investigation to help you out.
Let's talk about the scope of this investigation, if we may. On what scale does this investigation have the capacity to really distract from governing and really taking care of business?
We don't know quite yet, but it has the potential, of course, to really distract from the Trump agenda. We've seen this in prior investigations, certainly the Whitewater investigation and how it branched out was a distraction to the Clinton administration, Iran-Contra with the Reagan administration, some of the things that were going on in the Bush administration. So whenever you have one of these investigations, that's often one of the things that the media and certainly your opposing party likes to focus on, and that will help to keep whatever administration is in power from achieving its agenda.
Let's talk a little bit, if we can, about Donald Trump's Cuban policy. Now, he says he wants to renegotiate a better deal, and he's not lifting sanctions for a myriad of reasons. What do you see as the motivation behind this shift?
Well, it's a combination of things. And bottom line is one of the things that he's repeated frequently is that he didn't think it was a good deal. And that was certainly true before he became a candidate. Many Republicans complained that it wasn't a good deal, that there were no requirements that the Cuban administration, presidency, Raul Castro and his brother before him, Fidel, that they basically have more democratic processes put in place. In other words, that it wasn't less a dictatorship and more of a democracy, let's put it that way. And so that's certainly something Trump wants to see happen. But of course, many of the Cuban Americans in the Florida area would vote for a Republican, voted for Trump. And so to a certain extent, it's I don't want, payback seems a little too direct or blunt about it, but basically you're a group that you promised that I'm going to do this, and so he's carrying through on one of his campaign promises.
And quickly, if you can, Raul Castro's reaction to all of this, some would say he's striking a rather conciliatory tone. What are your thoughts on that?
That's probably true, partly because Trump didn't roll back all of the Obama-Cuba policies, just sort of some of them. But also Raul Castro is looking towards the end of his administration. He's getting up there in years, of course, and maybe looking for a smoother transition of power once he is out and whatever happens to his people once he's out of the administration.
All right, be interesting to see how this all pans out. Political science professor Timothy Hagel joining us from Iowa City. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
My pleasure.
Wow.
And the First Lady posting a photo on Twitter showcasing their Father's Day at Camp David. Melania Trump writing, Barron, President Trump and I enjoying beautiful Camp David.
Go, girl. That's what I like to hear. Go, girlfriend. Do your thing, girl. Just do it, Mrs. Trump. Do your thing, Miss First Lady. Do it, Mrs. First Lady. Just do it, girlfriend. Do what you gotta do. Life goes on. That's right.
The U.S. Navy has...
That's right. Do your thing, girl. Life goes on. Yep. Do it.
He's out of the administration.
All right, be interesting to see how this all pans out. Political science professor Timothy Hagel joining us from Iowa City. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
My pleasure.
And the First Lady posting a photo on Twitter showcasing their Father's Day at Camp David. Melania Trump writing, Barron, President Trump and I enjoying beautiful Camp David.
Go, girlfriend.
The U.S. Navy has ended its search and rescue efforts for the 7 sailors missing after their destroyer collided with a merchant ship off the coast of Japan Saturday. The commander of the 7th Fleet says the bodies were found by Navy divers.
We have found a number of them. I'm not going to go into the number, but hopefully here very soon. And this is out of respect for the family. You've got to understand that we want to make sure that we have the notification done to the grieving families. We don't want to come out with something prematurely. We want to make sure the family members are notified.
Go, girl.
The bodies were found in flooded compartments after the USS Fitzgerald returned to port with the help of tugboats. Navy officials say those who did not survive might have been killed by the impact of the crash, or they may have drowned. The Navy has now launched an investigation into that collision. CTV's Todd Battis has more details.
Looking as if scarred by war, the USS Fitzgerald crippled at its midsection. Compartments caved in, machinery in the radio room below deck destroyed. Unable to fully navigate on its own and listing, the warship was towed to home port near Tokyo after colliding with a container carrier in busy seas just south of Japan. A look at damage to the ACX Crystal would suggest it hit the destroyer straight on. Surprising, given how much technology each vessel is outfitted with.
Oftentimes what happens in these collisions at seas, it's a series of mistakes on both ships that lead to a tragic event.
Several maritime trackers show the container ship making a sharp U-turn and coming back at the Fitzgerald, its bow, essentially T-boning the U.S. destroyer. 5 others were injured on board, serious enough that they were airlifted to hospital. One, the ship's commander. Japanese Coast Guard led the rescue.
It's hard to imagine what this crew has had to endure, the challenges they've had to overcome, but I'm extremely proud of their courage and dedication.
It was a race to save the ship itself. Those hoses pumped seawater that flooded sections of the damaged hull. A significant setback for the Pacific Fleet. One of the most sophisticated U.S. ships, it serves as a mighty deterrent as it monitors activity by North Korea and China.
The Navy's going to want to backfill this very quickly because the Fitzgerald is going to be out of service for a long, long time.
Todd Battis, CTV News, Halifax.
Iraqi forces have formally begun their push into Mosul's historic old city, the last Islamic State-held stronghold. According to a military statement, soldiers launched the assault today. The offensive operation comes as the campaign heads into its 9th month. The Iraqi forces are backed by the airstrikes of the U.S.-led coalition. ISIS first captured Mosul back in 2014.